All right. Let's check and see how you did with your symbols here. So we're just focusing on this top box, top left. Again, if you do not know these words, you cannot get a 1 on the first page of the test. And if you can't get a 1 on the first page of the test, you don't get credit for it. So at most. So the question is, or kind of how we say it is, you can go to the bathroom at most 1 time. You can have at most 1 of my donuts. You can have at most $1. Or your mom says you can have at most $20. Right? So your mom is saying less than or equal to. I'm saying less than or equal to 1 bathroom break, less than or equal to 1 donut.
Last year we only got to go to the bathroom 1 time a day.
Mm.
And you could pick between Dre, your locker, your library, or the bathroom. But you could only go one. And you could only go one time a day.
So this one right here, it says no less than. So should I write the less than symbol? No, you should not write less than. So is it less than? No, it's going to be greater than, and put that line underneath for the equal to. Okay, and then less than or equal to is this symbol less than or equal to. If you can do these couple of ones that you're seeing up here, the other ones that are going to be there's like 6 of them, and the 6 of them that are going to be there is across from at most is going to be at least. So if you can get at most right, then at least is the opposite symbol of that. Okay, so that gets you your level 1. I was walking around the room, and I did not point this out to some of you because I wanted you to see if you could see the fact that you've got this pointed in the wrong direction. So check yours out. This should go left, eyes up. Should this go to the left? No, because the X is not on the right side. So some of you who put it to the left on the test, try to remember that, because I can't give you a 2 or a 3 or a 4 if you don't get this one right. So that's a real bummer on your grade if you can't remember the fact that when it's in the wrong order that you got to go the opposite way. So we got to remember that for Friday. Okay, this one here, we want to subtract 5 first. So x over negative 3. Okay, same thing. When you multiply by a negative 3 right here, okay, you're about to get your quizzes back that you actually did this on. When you multiply by a negative 3, that symbol has to flip. The same rule applies. I cannot give you a 2. And remember what a 2 is, right? A 1 is a D minus. A 2 is a C minus. I cannot give you a C minus if you cannot remember to flip the sign. Okay, so some of you that are striving for a 4 or even a 3, you have to remember to flip that sign. So X here and a negative 15 here. Okay, then what we learned yesterday, this is the last thing, this is what we learned yesterday, so those of you that were gone, this is kind of a preview of what we did yesterday. You come right in here in the middle and you undo that equation. So the first thing I want to do is I want to add 7 to all 3 parts. Okay, when you add 7, you're going to have a 9 here, a 3x, and a 12. Divide all 3 parts by 3. And your final answer, 3 less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 4. Okay? If you can get to that point on Friday, that problem right there is a level 3 problem. Okay, so that gets you an A minus right there. So it should not be super difficult, especially on the last one, to get a 3. Here's the question. This is the one that we kind of struggled with. Okay, so yesterday I asked you, give me one number that would work. So give me one number that would work for this solution. Okay, anybody got an answer that they want? 3.5 would work. Would 3 work?
No. Yes.
Yes, because of the line underneath, right? So 3 would work, 4 would work, 3.5, 3.8, anything like that. Okay. Okay, last day in the notebook. Last page. Woo.
There's so many words.
Yes, there are a lot of words, that is for sure. All right, we're going to page 21, and then 22 is going to be our practice, but we're going to do it in chunks.
All right, I'm done. See, look at you doing all the answers, and then we could write it down. First time we're not learning anything, and then we're going to
This is page 21. Okay, we got to go out a little bit. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this one says write a compound inequality for all numbers that are less than or equal to 7 or greater than or equal to 10. So all we are doing is we are writing an or compound inequality. An or compound inequality just means I'm going to write all numbers. I don't know what the numbers, so that's going to be x. Less than, that's this symbol, or equal to, so put a line underneath, 7. There's your first part of that compound inequality. X less than or equal to 7, or put another x greater than or equal to 10. So if it's an or inequality, you don't shove them together, you just write two separate things, two separate ones.
We're just writing the inequalities?
Yes. No. We're just writing them. We will solve them once we get all the way down to the level 4.
Oh.
Okay? But we're working our way up there. So then it says write a compound inequality for all numbers, so that's x. So for all numbers, x greater than -1. And then it says and. Okay, so let's write this. Start with the first one. So all numbers greater than -1 and all numbers less than or equal to 1.
So then they're connected.
So another way that you can write and inequalities, so eyes up on this one because this is the only time we're going through this. So another way that you can write and inequalities is to put them together. So when I put them together, this would still be less than or equal to 1. Hold on. And then over here, this is opening towards the x, so I would open it this way, -1. Okay, so notice one thing. So we're going to notice this because on the next one, we're going to go straight into this setup. So what we want to notice here is we want to notice that both of these symbols are pointing left. Okay, so their point is facing to the left. They're both less than symbols. It doesn't say less than because you always read it from the x. So x is smaller than or equal to 1, but x is bigger than -1. So when they go together, they both look like less than symbols, so they both point left when we do ands. So when we do them together, they should both be pointing left. Yeah.
For all ands?
For all ands. Yep, these are all going to point to the left. Okay, the second thing I want you to notice is that the smaller number is here and the bigger number is here. Okay, so we are going to do one more, and then you're going to practice a little bit, and then we're going to kick it up a notch. Okay, so this one right here says a person is supposed to eat between. Anytime you see that word right there, between, you are going to do this and setup. Okay, so the and setup looks like this. You're going to have an X in the middle. Both are pointing to the left.
That is so easy.
The smaller number goes here, 3%.
Wait, how do we know to put the lines on it? Oh, this is easy.
We are going to always put the lines in between. Oh, sorry. Whoops. That's down a little farther. There we go. Put it up a little bit for you. Okay, and there you go. Right? So when it's a between setup, the symbols have to point left. Smaller number on the left, bigger number on the right. Question. Go.
You said we always put the lines in
We're going...
but
When it says between, when it says between, we're going to put the lines underneath.
okay, but B doesn't have both.
That one didn't say between. That one didn't have the word between.
It's the same thing.
It's the same idea, but it did give us specifically greater than and then less than or equal to. So it gave us something a little bit more specific. Okay, so then on the next page, so the next page right here is our practice page, so that's page 20. Okay, so I'm going to give you a minute or so on page 20, and we're not doing all of them because you're not ready for all of them yet. I'm sorry, 22, sorry. So on 22, you're going to try the first 4 problems, 1 through 4. That's it. We're going to stop there, and we're going to come back together and kick it up a notch, add one more little piece there. Okay? So I want to just point out here that the first one is an OR problem. The second one is an AND problem. And then you'll start seeing between. So 3 is between. And this one right here says below. That's going to be a less than. Here's an OR. Above. So that's a greater than. So that's an OR problem, even though it's a little bit different.
You just do the first 4.
Yep, just the first 4. So give those first 4 a try, and then we'll come back together and kick it up a notch, okay? when it's an or. Okay, let's check these out, because this isn't actually what's going to be on your assessment. We're just working up to what will actually be on your assessment. So the or one, it says we want all numbers less than -3. Put the word or. You want all numbers greater than 0. So you have to put the x in there. It doesn't tell you to put x. You've got to bring the x. Okay, compound inequality. This is an and. So all numbers that are less than 9. Then put the word and, greater than or equal to 7. Now, if you wanted to, so x is greater than or equal to 7. If you wanted to, you could put this together. You could put it together like less than 9, greater than or equal to 7. You could. It's not a requirement, though. When you go to the between, that's the one that we really want to have as the letter x in the middle, pointing left, 70 and 95. So check yours. That's the one that's the most important. Did you get that one? That's the between. Okay, that's going to show up more times than any other ones. So a plane can fly, so X. A plane can fly below 10,000 feet, or the plane can fly above 15,000 feet. If it is an or situation, you do not put them together. If it's an or situation and you write it like this, you're saying that you want that plane to fly between 10,000 and 15,000 feet. So you just told it to fly within the restricted airspace. Nope. It's restricted. You don't want it to go in between. You want it to either go below or above. Okay. I'm going back to page 21, and we're going to do the second example here. Okay, this is, again, a between situation. So I'm going to set this up with my x, but I'm going to leave a little space here because there's going to be another piece. So I want x to be between. So a ski shop carries skis. Oops, sorry, we're down below here. Ski shop carries skis that are between 150 centimeters to 220 centimeters. Why does it matter what the size of the skis are? Well, it depends on how tall you are, right? So your height and your skis should be similar to each other. So the 120 and the 150 and the 220 are going to be my smaller numbers. So 150 here and 220 here. Okay, so this is what's actually going to be on the test. Okay, on the test, it's going to have a between situation like we just had there, but then it's going to have this. The skis must be 1.25 times longer than your height. So what you have to do is you have to do 1.25 times. Times what?
X.
Times the x, right? That makes sense. So in the middle here, we're going to go 1.25 x, and there's your equation. So the ones that are actually going to be on the test are going to have something more in the middle than just x. Okay? So we're going to have to use our brains a little bit to think of what should be in the middle there. Okay? Okay, so then you're actually going to have to solve it. So there's an A and a B. If you can write the inequality, that's A. That's a 3.5. If you can solve it, it's a B. So what we would do is we would divide all of these by 1.25. So x is between. So it says, for what heights of people does the shop have skis available? So if I take 150 divided by 1.25, that is 120 centimeters. And then I do 220 divided by 1.25. So you actually probably don't know how tall you are in centimeters. Like, I know I'm 5'8", but I don't have any idea what that is in centimeters. But the rest of the world does, because they go on the metric system, whereas we go on feet and inches. So this is centimeters. which is height for most people in the world. Okay, last one. We're going to do this last example. So this is also going to have something in the middle. It's a little bit more work in the middle of the problem. Okay, so I'm redoing my bathroom. I choose a tile that costs me $100 for labor and $2 per tile. When you're reading that and you're not on your phone, hopefully you see the word per tile and you're thinking of times. Okay, so I pay $100 for labor, and hopefully you're thinking that's a plus, $2, and hopefully when you read the word per, you think multiply. Okay, I can spend more than $500, but less than $1,000. That is still between. So I can spend between $500 and $1,000. So I've got X in the middle here. This is a situation where it is specifically telling us that I do not want to spend equal to. It says more than, it says less than. So I'm not going to put the line underneath on this situation because it's specifically telling us not to. $500 here, $1,000 here. Find the possible number of tiles. So X is my tiles. So tiles is X. So when it says per tile, I'm going to multiply that times X. So I'm paying 100 and $2 times X. So if you wanted to rewrite that to make it look a little bit nicer. Okay, so then to solve this, you go in the middle. So this is what we did yesterday. We solved problems just like this, which is this is kind of why we did that. So we're going to go right into the middle, and we have to get rid of the plus minus piece first, not the divide. So I'm going to get rid of the 100. So you would subtract 100. So that would be 400 here, 2x, and then 900. And then you would divide by 2. So dividing that by 2 is 200x, and then 450. There's your 2 answers there. Okay, so back on page 22.
What's 900 divided?
450. So back on page 22, we've just got a couple of problems here, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got about 15 minutes to do it. Okay, I'm going to get you started off on number 5, if you're not 100% sure. Okay, it says a publisher estimates the cost of publishing a book is from $980,000 to $1,240,000. So far, $824,150 has been spent. Write and solve a compound inequality to model the situation. Okay, so again, this is a between. So it's either going to cost somewhere between, the numbers are big. So 1,240,000. And then over here would be 980,000. Okay. So the cost that you still have to pay plus what you have already paid has to be between $980,000 and $1,240,000. Okay. On the actual test, you'll have to solve that. So we're going to do our check tomorrow to kind of see where you're at. And then we're going to do 2 things. We are going to go over our quizzes from last week and make corrections on those to see if you need some help to reassess. And then the second thing is we're going to start preparing ourselves for Friday's test, which we've been kind of doing all week, so you should be okay. Okay, so the next one is very similar to this, where she's already spent some money, and she estimates it's going to be between somewhere of $700,000 and $750,000. Okay. Okay, so like I said, you just need to actually write the inequality. You do not have to solve it.